I just have a quick tip for anyone working with assets in Blender or producing any kind of content pack in a blend file that they might provide to friends or a studio or even sell online, like I'm doing for Afterglow. Oftentimes when producing stuff in a blend file, I'm experimenting, I'm bringing in mesh assets from different files like photo scans to see how they work. But before distributing this file to other people, I need to make sure that that data is gone, right? So it's not unnecessary bloat, or we don't have any like license conflicts where, say, like a 3D scan object that shouldn't be shared because the license doesn't support it is accidentally included in the file. So what I do is I have a separate tab in the blend file that I call file content. And from here, I can analyze all the content within the file. So we've got materials, images, meshes, etc. So the way you get to a view like this is by opening an outliner editor. So it's just your regular outliner, which you're used to seeing on the right side in Blender. But in the regular outliner, well, you're usually looking at the view layer, which shows you all your collections. What you can instead do is set it to Blender file. And this is going to give you a much more raw and low level look at the content inside the file. Because here's the thing, obviously when you delete things from the blend file, like meshes, if they're no longer used, one thing that you can do, and I know a lot of people already know this, you go to File, Clean Up, and then Purge Unused Data. From here you have options to delete things recursively, which is useful, which means that dependencies will be checked. And then if there's anything that's still loose, not being used, it will remove that as well. Before the recursive option, we used to have to run this operation several times, but some things can still get left behind. That's because you may have associations in the file that you didn't realize were still active, or you might have flagged a material, for example, with the fake user, which means that it will stay in the file. So basically, that's one more step I do before distributing the file, is I just look through the content and I keep an eye out for anything that's suspicious. You will have an intuition for the kinds of naming conventions you use, and in the case of things like 3D scan objects, it's quite often the case that they have very hyper-specific names that are, a bit different or out of the ordinary. Now, it would be nice to have more advanced, like file checking features in Blender, and I know there are some add-ons that help with that as well, but I just think this is one important thing to keep in mind if you're developing asset files, either for yourself or again to share with other people. For this, I'm working on the Afterglow lighting asset library for Blender, which is available on Gumroad and Superhive.